Hello everyone, Jackie here. Welcome back to my channel. I apologize for the really grainy quality of this video. I'm filming it at nighttime, and when I film videos at nighttime, the quality of the videos is a lot worse than when I film them during the daytime, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to discuss in this video the recent Game of Thrones plot leaks, which were posted on Talking Thrones' YouTube channel. Usually I do not read plot leaks just because I'm always worried they may end up being real and I will spoil myself, but I was really bored and I saw that Talking Thrones had made these videos about the plot leaks on his channel, so I decided to watch them. And I did think these plot leaks were really interesting, and I decided I wanted to make a video saying what I thought about the plot leaks and what I thought about the different things that were discussed in them, what I think actually could happen or what I think is unrealistic. Now, I don't think these are real plot leaks because it's very early on in production for them to, for the plot to be leaked. Usually it happens a lot later, closer to the actual air date. And I also just found it hard to believe that someone who is a minor part of production would know things in such detail as the person gave in this plot leak. I mean, they gave specific dialogue, and it felt like they had almost everything. There were some things in there that I feel like were missing, but I just don't think it's realistic that these are real plot leaks. However, they were well-written plot leaks. I was engrossed when I was watching these videos, and I think that this person may have correctly guessed some of the things that are going to happen, but there are other things that I think are false and just plain made up, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. What I think might happen and what I think is just a bunch of fan fiction. Now, I am not going to go over every single thing discussed in the plot leaks. If you want the full, detailed version, then go to Talking Thrones' channel. That's where I saw these, so all credit to him. His channel is amazing. So if you want to watch the full plot leak breakdown and see every single thing that's supposed to happen according to these plot leaks, go to his channel, then come back to this video, because I am just going to discuss parts of it that I think may be true or false. I'm not going to go over everything that he said in his videos. Obviously, there's a potential spoiler warning in this video if these plot leaks do turn out to be true after all, and I'm also going to be discussing some spoilers that were posted on Watchers on the Wall, so if you don't want to see those, then don't watch this video. The first thing that struck me in episode 1 was what the plot leak said the opening scene was going to be. The plot leak said that the first scene was going to be Beric and Tormund, who survived the end of season 7, showing up at Castle Black. Now, this stuck out to me for two reasons. One, because Beric and Tormund were at Eastwatch, not near Castle Black. So, unless they ran all the way down the wall before it fell, that's kind of doesn't make sense for them to be at Castle Black. Also, I saw on Watchers on the Wall, which I check occasionally, that spoilers indicate the first scene of Season 8 will be filmed at Wintertown, which is the village outside of Winterfell. So if that is true, then this scene is not what's going to happen in Season 8. At the very least, it would not be the first scene. I thought that the scenes at Winterfell which were described seemed realistic enough. I definitely think there is going to be some tension with Daenerys arriving at Winterfell in Season 8 because the Northerners do not trust Targaryens after what happened with the Mad King and Ned Stark's father and brother. So there would definitely be conflict there, and I think these scenes seemed, fairly aligned with what's to be expected, so nothing jumped out at me there. I also think it's very likely that Jaime will bring Bronn with him while they are going north, because Jaime is the one who is ensuring that Bronn is going to get paid at this point, and also, from a practical standpoint, the actor who plays Bronn and the actress who plays Cersei Lannister, that's Jerome Flynn and Lena Headey, they actually used to go out in real life, and now apparently their breakup was so bad that they refused to be in scenes together. So if the character of Bronn stays in King's Landing, what is he going to do? Because he cannot have any scenes with Cersei. So I think it is almost guaranteed that Bronn will be going north with Jaime. At the beginning of episode 2, we see Davos and Gendry show up after everybody else has already arrived with the rest of the Dragonglass, and this seemed a little strange to me because there was no mention of Davos and Gendry staying behind at the end of season 7. I assumed that they were traveling with Jon, Daenerys, Tyrion, and the rest of everyone, because Davos was in the room while they were discussing they were going to sail together, and it was never mentioned that he was going to stay behind. But then again, this could just be something that wasn't mentioned on screen. I mean, I'm not going to say the leaks are 100% false just because of this. It could still be true. It was a little confusing to me when I was listening to it. I did think the Arya and Gendry reunion sounded pretty good. Like I've said before, I don't really care that much if the two of them get together romantically. I would be happy if they did, but I would also be okay if they didn't. I just really want to see the show have some sort of reunion between them and establish how much they meant to each other when they were traveling together, how important their friendship was. And I also really liked Davos and Arya talking about Melisandre and how they both want to kill her, and I would love to see a moment like that where they're discussing Melisandre. I really would have loved to see Arya's reunion with the Hound we mentioned in this plot leak. In fact, he really isn't mentioned at all at this point. However, plot leaks never have every single scene that's going to be in the final season in the plot leak. That's basically impossible for the person to know everything unless they have the scripts, and very few people actually get the scripts. Even the cast only gets them electronically. So you can't judge a plot leak based on what it omits. There were a lot of things that I think were missing from this plot leak that I hope will be in the final product, but you can't judge the plot leak based on that because no plot leak will have everything. The plot leak did mention that we will see Melisandre in Volantis with Kinvara and the other red priests and priestesses, and I thought that sounded like a great scene. However, I'm not entirely convinced we will actually see it. I don't know if HBO really want to introduce a whole Volantis set just for this final season. I don't think it's necessary. But we'll have to see on this. I really would like to see a scene like this. I'm just not entirely convinced it will actually happen. Now, I'm not entirely sold on it taking Bran this long to tell Jon about his parentage. I feel like that has to be a reveal that happens fairly early on in the season, so we have time to deal with the fallout. I feel like we need to see Jon have to come to terms with this. And this episode also will have Daenerys' pregnancy reveal, however. My thought was that Jon will sort of be emotionally detached from Daenerys after this reveal about his parentage, and I thought perhaps her pregnancy reveal could be what brings them back together and has them acknowledge that, yeah, they are in love with each other and they want to be together no matter what. So I'm not entirely convinced on this, but I mean, from a narrative standpoint, it also would make sense if we kind of delay this reveal a little bit just to give the viewer some anxiety. However, there's not a lot of time, and we need to see Jon deal with this and come to terms with this, his whole life being a lie, basically, and I just don't know how long that could be put off. That being said, I do think episode 2 is a realistic time for Daenerys to find out that she's pregnant. I think it's inevitable that she's going to be pregnant. At this point, there was so much foreshadowing for it. And since she probably conceived a little baby Targaryen on the boat during the infamous boat sex scene with Jon, episode 2 would be a realistic point for her to find out that she is with child. I do like that the plot leak mentioned Jaime and Bronn stopping at the twins on their way to Winterfell. I think there was a casting I saw on Watchers on the Wall for twin sisters, which would make sense given that there are Frey twins who would still be alive because Arya Stark didn't kill any of the Frey ladies at the massacre at the twins, and I think it would make sense for Jaime and Bronn to stop there. In an ideal world, I would like to see them stop at River Run. However, I don't think we're going to see Edmure Tully again in Season 8 as much as I wish we could get some resolution with that storyline. So I think the twins is a realistic place for them to go. According to the plot leaks in this episode, we will see a scene with Euron and Yara, and the plot leaks mentions that Euron has cut out Yara's tongue. Now, this is something that Euron does in the book series. It's mentioned that his entire crew on his ship has their tongues cut out, so it could be a nod to that element from the books that wasn't mentioned on the show. However, I don't know if they would actually have Yara's tongue cut out because she wouldn't be able to speak, and I don't think she'd really be able to rule the Iron Islands if she can't talk, and it just seems like such a cruel and unnecessary thing to do to her. That being said, the show does have instances of violence against women that's not in the books, so maybe they'll do that, but I would hate that if that happens, and I really hope that's not true, because it's just horrible. Like, I hope that Theon can save her before Euron does any permanent damage, but I guess we'll have to see about that. Now in episode 3, I really like the cold open, Beric's arrival, and Bran's visions. I don't really like how we don't get to see Jon's reaction to Daenerys' pregnancy. I feel like that's kind of an important moment, and I just have a really hard time believing that if Jon knew Daenerys was pregnant with his child, he wouldn't want to get married. Jon grew up being a bastard, and I don't think he would ever be okay with fathering a bastard. If he knew that Daenerys was pregnant, he would want to get married as soon as possible so that even if he does die in battle, at least the child will be legitimate. I don't think it's not in character for him to not want to get married. I just think it's going to be very important to him. And also, you know, like I said, I think the pregnancy will help the two of them realize that they are in love with each other and they want to be together. And I think they may want to get married before the Night King comes so that if one of them dies, at least they got to be married. I think Jaime's arrival at Winterfell was very realistic. I could easily see it play out sort of like that. I would like to see more of a moment between him and Brienne because I'm a Brainy shipper through and through, and I just really want to see the show acknowledge how important they were to each other and the effect they've had on each other. And that's something that I hope will be developed more. Now, one thing this plot did that I loved was this little mention of Varys disappearing after Jaime and Bronn shook up, and I thought that was so interesting. It instantly had me intrigued, and I would love it if the show did something like that, because I definitely think there has to be something shady going on with Varys in Season 8. It's been foreshadowed. I just want to mention again, I feel like Jon should know about his real parentage at this point, because I think in the battle with the Night King, Jon has to ride a dragon. I think he has to ride Rhaegal, the dragon named for his biological father, and I just think the reveal about Jon's parentage has to happen early in the season so we can deal with the fallout and see him come to accept that he is both Stark and Targaryen. However, I really did like the mention of the fire trenches. I think that's a really cool detail, and the plot does mention that Grey Worm and a bunch of Unsullied will get turned into whites, which makes sense because there was a spoiler about the Hound being spotted filming a scene where he is fighting off a bunch of Unsullied. And it doesn't make sense when we fighting Unsullied unless they're whites. And I definitely think Grey Worm has to die because they've really been building up his romance with Missandei, and I think they were doing that so when Grey Worm does die, it will just be more emotionally devastating for us. And I do think it's possible that Tormund could go out trying to help Brienne because we've seen that he has a really big crush on her, and I just think there's a good chance he may die next season because he is really the only wildling character that's still alive who we really know well and care about, and I feel like his death could have a really big emotional impact on us as viewers. It also would be nice to see him going out like this because he does have feelings for Brienne, and I feel like this would be a way for him to do something nice for her, and it would make her respect him like she hadn't before. Okay guys, I'm going to take advantage of this natural stopping point to end this video here. I will be doing a part 2 discussing the rest of the plot leaks. Let me know in the comments what you think about them so far, what you think seems legit, and what you think sounds like it's straight out of the fan fiction. And part 2 will be uploaded very, very soon where I discuss the rest of the leaks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.